What it do, and welcome back to the Flagrant 3 podcast, back in Honeywood Studios. It's your boy Snaz across the way, as always, Mr. Feeling Too Good.
What's going on, yo?
What it do, and he's back, the man himself, Michael Logan.
Howdy.
Back like a crack.
Yes, sir. Well, a lot to talk about, not a lot to talk about. You know, there's only two teams left now.
It's finals are set. Finals are set.
I still think there's a lot to talk about, though. It's going to be a lot of strong matchups in the finals that we've been left with, so it's actually quite exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Providing everyone's healthy, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Right, let's get cracking with the Western Conference Finals. The Suns overcoming the Clippers in 6.
Yeah, no thanks to Kawhi Leonard.
Who? Who's that guy?
The guy that sits on the bench. No, wait, in the stands. He sits in the stands. Yeah, what a team player.
Fun guy sits on his own.
Oh,
I did not even see a PG or a playoff P sign being held up by the claw.
right.
Sitting in a cardboard cutout, face and that.
I don't see the geezer crack a smile when they fucking pulled it back by a game. Like,
Kawhi Leonard going crazy.
Yeah,
dead straight face.
Of course.
The guy does my head in at the moment.
Let's talk Clippers real quick. Paul George, what a series for him. What a playoff run for him. He playing the most minutes in the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
He absolutely killed it, but you know, crunch time wasn't his friend in this series in particular.
That's exactly what it boils down to, doesn't it? They run out of steam. I mean, they had big games out of Marcus Morris, and still couldn't hold their own. It's a different ball game if Kawhi plays, but
yeah, I still think Suns take it, but I think it's a bit more competitive. Even though it went to 6, it's a bit more of a tightly contested series. A lot more lead changes and a lot more defensive, heavy series, in my opinion.
Yes and no. I think Kawhi threw it for him. I think if Kawhi's there and he's reasonably healthy, as healthy as Kawhi can be, I think Clippers do take Phoenix. Because when Phoenix are winning, they're not actually dominating to a degree where they have been the rest of the playoffs.
Apart from Game 6. Yeah,
exactly. And you have to take into account what Kawhi does offer. Especially in the playoff series. So I think him not being available or not wanting to be available, however way you want to look at it, if what side of the fence you are, I think he's thrown it for the Clippers and their great opportunity. And I think it's unfair to some degree on Paul George, who then had to put all that load on his back.
Yeah.
With his reputation on the line as well.
He's a great two-way player, but he's not Kawhi. I mean, nobody's talking about Paul George being the best player in the world, but Kawhi comes up in the conversation.
Absolutely. But the thing about Kawhi Leonard, we've seen it quite a lot with him. When things aren't going his way or he's not particularly happy in a situation, he sits.
He'll duck out.
But what are you not happy about? You're in the fucking conference finals, the Western Conference finals.
Exactly that.
What are you not happy about?
Play hard.
Well,
this is what I'm saying.
Just play.
This is what I'm saying about his injury. Like, is it less than what they're making it out to be?
Well, that's the thing. You look at the injury list that's happened throughout the playoffs that was listed. You had Embiid's meniscus tear, Anthony Davis, his groin.
Yeah.
You get to Kawhi Leonard's slide and it just says undisclosed knee injury.
Yeah.
Well, he gets rested quite regularly throughout the season, so it was obviously an underlining issue there, but I think it's also part of the franchise's mistake as well. Why would you give someone a max or a large contract to a guy who you can't rely on to be there when it counts?
Yeah, exactly.
He's that good, though, isn't it? I mean,
but he's that good, but he's got to be that good, and he's got to be available to be that good.
Yeah, availability is the best ability, absolutely. But if you're not going to give him the max, somebody else definitely will, because he's a top 10 player, isn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Healthy or not, he's a top 10 player, and it's the same with, you know, these guys that are coming up to their contract years that have had injuries this year.
And Kawhi's the kind of person that will just turn it on just after you trade him.
I mean, look
to
the
make you pay. Yeah,
when there was 2-0 down to the Mavs.
Yeah,
he went for 2 straight 40 games.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So this is what makes me think, and obviously it is a year where he could recontract. So maybe he's trying to downplay something that's a lot bigger than.
Quite possibly,
quote unquote, knee
because
injury.
At the minute all it's doing is hurting his image. Because I know Kawhi's that sort of guy. He stays away from the media, very limited in what he says in interviews and stuff. But at what point do you hiding an injury at what point does that start making you look lazy because you're having all this time off during the regular season, and then you've missed an entire series in the Western Conference Finals, the toughest conference.
Series, yeah.
You know,
but this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about it being worse because in the Toronto, in the Philadelphia series when he was with Toronto, he was saying he was hurt and he looked hurt. Nothing officially came out, and then obviously going into the Golden State Warriors, he looked like he was limped, but he still put it on his back, and obviously got the dub against one of the greatest teams ever put together. But this time round, he didn't want the smoke.
By the looks of it, no. And you've got to take your hats off to the Suns. If on paper you look at their opponents in this playoffs, and they're monstrous. You got the champs from last year. You've got the guys that were in the Western Conference Finals last year in Denver with the reigning MVP, and then you've got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, man. But all three of those teams, injury ridden, including their stars, most importantly. Yeah.
But you can only face what's in front of you.
Yeah. Exactly. And they got the job done.
Some of those games that Chris Paul was out for when he obviously had to go into COVID protocol when he had his injuries and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you can only face what's in front of you, and I think full credit to Phoenix by standing up and going, right, we've got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely,
a lot of teams could turn up and say, well, AD's not out, or AD's not playing this game, it's going to be a bit easier, or go against Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray's not there, so it's going to be easier, the point guard position. They don't do that. They go in and they play their game, and I think full credit to them. They've shown up. And in that regard, if they faced fully fit teams in that playoff run, would they probably be where they are today? Unlikely. It's possible to be. You've got to say it's more unlikely than what it was today. Yeah. But they've earned being in that finals.
Absolutely, and you can see what it means to them. Like a decade-long drought for the franchise.
Yeah, I think it's big on Monty Williams as well. As you say, rather than going right, we've got to exploit the fact that Anthony Davis ain't in the game, which Jamal Murray ain't in the game. They just go out there, keeps his composure, they play their game, and they're in the finals now. They've only lost 4 games in the whole playoffs.
Yeah,
that's good. As you say, defending champs, wipe the floor of them. Western Conference finalists last year in Denver, wipe the floor of them. Clippers, wipe the floor of them.
Yeah, I mean,
I genuinely do think if Kawhi plays, the Clippers are in the finals. I do believe that. Especially the first 2 games, as close as they were.
The matchups become uneven in that regards.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we saw when the Clippers started bringing in Cousins off the bench.
Yeah,
the Phoenix didn't know how to deal with that, did they?
No.
And when you add the fact that you've got to mark either Kawhi or Paul at that time,
Paul George,
because one of them will be subbed off.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
it's
you've
sort
still
of
got
a barrage of attack if Kawhi's on the floor.
And I think players like Morris, Pat Bev, they get under your skin when you have to work 3 times as hard. These type of guys are not the type of guys you want in your ear.
No.
During these kind of games, and I think that would have shown up Phoenix's inexperience in the playoffs a bit more if they had to, like in the finals now they've got the Bucks. That's a fully functional team as long as Giannis is back.
Yeah,
that is their first test.
Giannis was
proper
back.
Test in the playoffs.
Giannis is not missing his first finals.
No,
absolutely not.
If you think he's going to miss the first game of his first finals in his career, you've got nothing coming. He's not missing that game at all.
Yeah, no, I do agree there.
If he's on one leg hopping around the court, he's still trying to do a little spin into the post.
Mate, he only needs 1 foot to get from half court to the free throw line, and he's dunking it from there, man.
Exactly.
What do you think about Pat Bev only getting a one game suspension from that shot?
Filth. Filth.
That was some schoolyard bullshit.
It's not a schoolyard. It's just like the utmost unprofessionalism to a degree where you can't do certain things in the league, and when your person's blindsided and you're pushing them back for no reason, no words were said, just like a stare down, which is compulsory in an NBA game. There's stare downs left, right, and centre.
Downs,
you
man.
do not then just throw your hands into someone's back and launch them across the court. That's just not on.
And I think if you're Pat Bev, you're kind of hypocritical for doing that, because you're the type of guy that wants to get that reaction from players,
Yeah.
and you have given it to someone who has worked you.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul worked him that game.
Well, yeah,
Worked the whole team.
Gave him 41 to close the game out, to close the series out. Yeah, I think a 1-game suspension wasn't enough, to be honest. I don't know if there was a fine. I'm assuming there would have been, but I don't think a 1-game suspension was enough. As
One
Michael
game is not
alluded,
enough.
It's not, blindsided him. And it was a shove and a real good shove. Like, could have done him some damage. Like,
Yeah, and that's the
he
thing.
looked
That,
like he got a bit of whiplash in there.
you know what I mean? This is the kind of thing that should have been considered. Is there's a potential injury play at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a push, a punch, a flying kick. You hit someone in the back when they're not expecting it. They're gonna.
You just got to
potentially
take, you got to take your
damage.
losses like a man. You can't be sour
That's
about it. And look, if you don't want to lose, don't put yourself in a position to lose in the first place.
Yeah.
Talk to Kawhi, get him on the court. your troubles are within. Don't blame Chris Paul for the issues
taking
with the
advantage of your.
Yeah, don't blame him for your frustrations. He's doing his job. Like, you need to look at yourself, look at your team, and go, we've got no Kawhi. He's sitting in the stands for some reason. Paul George is only dropping 20 this game, so the productivity's got to come somewhere else.
Yep.
You can't then just throw your hands into Chris Paul because he's dropped double what obviously
Your star
Paul George
players
is dropping.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
It's unfair. It's giving you the business, but.
Well, that's over. We'll move on to the finals prediction.
Congrats to the Suns.
in a bit.
Last time they've been in the finals was '93 with Sir Charles.
Sir Charles.
Do we move on to the finals, or do we talk about that Bucks Atlanta game?
Let's
first?
go.
Bucks.
Bucks Atlanta.
Because I think a bit of spotlight first of all needs to be thrown on Atlanta. I think really, really well played from them across
Yeah.
the whole
Excellent.
series.
Nobody expected
And-
him to even
Oh,
make it out of the
excellent.
round, let alone make it to the
I
fucking
love an
finals.
underdog, and Trey and the Hawks took the villain role all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, man.
Props to them,
You
man.
say an underdog, but you know what became more and more apparent as these playoffs went on? They're a team that are so well depthed. They've always got a hot hand.
Yeah.
And I think people are overlooking that, because if it's not Trey Young, it's Bogdanovic. If it's not Bogdanovic, it's going to be Collins. If it's not Collins, there's going to be someone else there. Cam Reddish, for God's sake,
Yeah.
dropped
Cam
22
Reddish come
last
up
night.
big, man.
And he shot 6 or 7 from the 3-point line. Now, people forget he was a 5-star recruit going into to Duke, but he played alongside RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson, so he was a bit in the shadows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
He
people
was
were
the
like-
Chris Bosh of
Yeah,
that.
and he was a bit injury hit, so people were like, how does he transition into the NBA? Last night was a breakout for him, I think. You know,
21.
Yeah, and that's
21 points.
That's
show
what
he
Nate
can do it,
McMillan
yeah.
come out and said, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said that he's got a bright future, and he could be a star in the league. And maybe it's true. Like, you just need that light. But obviously, with a Trey Young, as your guy, you're not really going to get that light shine.
Oh, no. When you think about it, I say going back to the depth, it then makes it harder for you to break into that team. Because
Yeah.
if you're now playing behind Bogdanovic, who's then also playing behind, bear in mind, they've got DeAndre Hunter, who's injured at the moment, Kevin Huerter, who's replacing his position. Huerter, who want to say it. But yeah, he's got a lot of depth ahead of him. So,
It takes a lot
I
to get
mean,
him on the court.
yeah, exactly. But when he stepped on that call, we were talking about this in one of our first podcasts, he took those minutes and took advantage of those minutes.
He did,
And
yeah.
fair play. He got to a point in that closeout game for the Bucks where he's on a minutes restriction still. He's meant to play in 21 minutes a game. And he played like 28, something like that. Higher minutes for a guy, and a lot of trust going into a guy who did not play any minutes really throughout the rest of that series prior. So, again, fair play to Nate in saying that, put this on your shoulders.
Yeah. I mean, cracking effort by the Hawks. Like, if you, watching the game, I didn't catch the full game. I watched the highlights, but
I catched it up until 4 a.m. last night.
the Hawks were still scoring. They just couldn't stop. Couldn't get a stop on D. They were still scoring.
Yeah, but they were making it difficult for the Bucks as well. And I think in some aspects of this game was really higher level basketball. In some aspects of the game was local league basketball. And there was never a consistent period of good quality throughout. And they went through spurts, as a lot of teams do in games, where momentum's on the defensive end and it switches over to the offensive end. But for some reason, they were playing really good defense, but it wasn't translating to offense. And then they're playing really good offense, but not great defense.
Yeah,
and that was their letdown. They didn't have that good rhythm on both ends consistently throughout. And full credit to people like Drew Holiday, who had a fantastic game.
Beastly game.
I think
Nearly a triple-dub.
Yeah, and he's been probably the most aggressive I've seen him in a series. Brook Lopez, amazing big man, and I loved the Brook Lopez we saw without Giannis.
Game 5.
Yeah.
Game 5,
Jeez.
Lopez was
Shaq Lopez.
Yeah, Giannis out. Giannis out allowed Lopez in the paint, and that's where he dominates.
Yeah,
You know, one of those games, he had like 33 points, all coming from
Well,
within.
you just got to go back to it's. You know, it's only in recent times that he's been stepping out. You've just got to go back to his Brooklyn days where, you know, he was an absolute machine. He was the star of that team.
Yeah.
And you know, when Bigs were big, well, when Bigs were just coming to the end, and obviously now he's evolved his game to step
And
out to the 3-point
I think
line.
this is the kind of ball the bigs need to be playing in
But they're not allowed
that
to
era.
anymore. They can't
That's the
anymore.
thing. They should, because the game is so undersized now. Because we saw it. We saw it in, like I've just said it, in the Sun series. DeMarcus Cousins, he's an inside player first.
Yeah.
He's had to go out to that 3-point line, but he beasts people.
Yeah.
Jokic beasts people inside.
Yeah, but you're not playing against the
But then-
Shaqs.
but
and
then-
You're not
the-
playing against the
but then if you
Shaqs,
look
your
at it,
Barclays, your...
because 3 points is worth more than 2.
It is,
and
but
that's
the
be-all
thing.
and
When you
end-all
have
of
a
the NBA
clear
right now.
size advantage, and you're going to get more baskets inside, you take
Yeah, but
advantage
you play,
of that.
this is the worst thing. You play to your strength. So who do the Nuggets play for on the offense? You should know this.
Oh, it's Jokic
It's
all
Jokic,
day.
right? So if his strength's on the inside, that ball goes inside. The Bucks' strength is Giannis. They go to guys Giannis, which means Brook Lopez has to then compensate and step out.
Step out,
But
Yeah.
clear the paint.
What you saw over the last 2 or 3 games where Giannis wasn't available is Brook Lopez at his best, inside, physical, such a soft touch around that rim as well, which sounds a bit sus, but really soft touch.
But that's experience,
And
though,
this
isn't it?
is it.
You're talking about Brook Lopez has been in the league for 10.
10 years.
10?
I want to say 10.
Yeah, we'll go with 10. You know, in comparison to a Clint Capella and John Collins that are fresh. I mean, Clint Capella's had a bit of playoff experience, but you know, I'll take Brook Lopez over Clint Capella.
Oh, any day.
Oh,
I think-
absolutely.
He's just got that much more weight behind him as well, and he's
He's more built for the centre position.
exactly.
I would put
Clint
Capella more of
Capella
a
being-
power forward.
But this is what I
kind of
mean by if you take Brook Lopez out of the Bucks, where they have to spread the floor to let Giants do his work, and put him in somewhere like the Warriors, who are more perimeter style play.
Yeah, he can sit
would
in there all.
he sit there better because it will allow him to play inside
Yeah, of
more and be
course,
that
yeah.
second
Yeah,
option.
I mean, we saw in the last couple of games that Brook Lopez can switch it from being a perimeter big to an inside big
Yeah.
quite quickly. So I think when you've got that kind of mentality, you're kind of unstoppable because you can just do whatever the team needs you to do to get that dub.
Yeah.
But me personally, I would like to see teams take that size advantage a bit more because it is such an advantage now. You've got guys like Draymond Green trying to play centre and stuff like that. You put a 7-footer on him.
And he's not blocking that hook.
No, he's not blocking it. And you don't necessarily have to jam it all the time. But we're
what I'm
not
saying.
seeing so
Well,
many.
This is what a lot of people don't realise as well, is that if you do put him on a 3-point team, as soon as that ball goes into the post, and if he is physical and he does have like a Draymond Green on him, they have to collapse, which means it opens up the threes a lot more. So where you got people like Steph Curry at the moment who have to work to get their shots open because the people around him aren't that great, then it makes it a lot easier because you just throw it in, kick it back out, and you've got an open
Oh,
jumper.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they will have to collapse, otherwise you're just going to get easy points inside.
Well,
Where
you just play off the dribble handoff or you know the pick and pop because obviously like you say you can step out to the free, so they've got to guard him on the pick and pop, which obviously would leave a Steph wide open layup because he's not clogging up the paint, he's out there. So realistically, I think a Brook Lopez on like the Warriors would work perfectly, but with the Bucks, he's got to step aside.
Yeah, he's got to clear the lane.
Hypothetically though, so a solution for the Bucks. Do you switch the rotations at some point and take Lopez out of the rotation with Giannis and play them off each other? Because basically, what I'm trying to say is, Phoenix lacks size. DeAndre Ayton is their size. He's their only 7-footer on that team. Everyone else around him is, below and not that oversized of this team.
Yeah.
So do you go at some point? You start obviously the starting 5 you normally do. You take Lopez out, put Bobby Portis in, and then when Giannis comes out, you put Lopez back in and you start working the inside with Lopez. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you mix it up a little bit because DeAndre Ayton cannot play 48 minutes. So at some point, that floor will have to open up.
Yeah.
And whether it's going to be making it a lot difficult for Monty Williams to turn around and say, right, do I play DeAndre Ayton in when Giannis is in there and stop that drive? Or do I play him in there when Lopez is in there and stop that inside ball coming in? Do you see what I mean? So you have to do the lesser of two evils. And they're
I'd
evil.
much rather give Lopez a shot than.
Would you, after what you've seen in the last few days? Would you? He dropped 33 quite easily. Yeah,
So
not
you
really
would
missing
trust
much
Brook
result.
Lopez over two-time MVP?
Well, I think it's easier to.
Yeah.
I think but I think it's easier to collapse a lane while they're driving than it is to stop someone bodying you in the inside.
It depends, just because Giannis is so long. If he's built up
really,
any kind of speed, you are not stopping him. If you get in the lane, he's going to get fouled.
Let's take
He's
it
got
back
that
to
super- superstar status.
take it back to Game 7 against Brooklyn. Then Giannis was taking it in on Blake Griffin. Who on Phoenix is going to stop that in the paint? If Blake Griffin couldn't, and he couldn't,
No, he couldn't.
late in that game, Blake Griffin couldn't do nothing but foul him. Who on Phoenix is
I
stopping
think
that?
the Suns are going to
DeAndre
rely
Ayton.
heavily on their offense.
Well, who logically
Heavily on
is
their
going to match up with Giannis? Because Aiton's naturally going to be with Lopez.
Yeah.
So who's Mikal Bridges? Is he going to be mixed up with Giannis?
This is the thing though, isn't it?
Campaign. Peyton.
This is it. I don't see-
CP3 on Giannis. Let's go.
Phoenix looks so good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking nothing away from that. But who is stopping Giannis? Providing he's 100% when he comes back, which fingers crossed we're all hoping for, because we still want a good finals. Who is stopping Giannis?
I don't think Giannis has to be 100%. I think he just has to be a nuisance. It'd be great if he is 100%. The likelihood is it's probably going to be about 75, if not less. But as you say, if he's got enough in that leg to drive and then kick, it's going to cause issues, because regardless how healthy he is, Suns will collapse. They will collapse, and then it's going to be down to the Bucks to make shots, which they have struggled with at times.
That's the thing. When you look at their three main offensive guys in the starting lineup, you got Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis. I haven't seen in this playoffs a game where all three of these go off.
No, it hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened.
It's two, or it's one. The two times it happened, Giannis wasn't on the floor.
So that's the thing with the Suns. They've got to have it in their mind that we find a way of stopping Giannis, even if it's just stopping him from stepping inside that 3-point line. You've only got to worry about one other guy, because that's the thing. You'd rather worry about Chris Middleton than Drew Holiday, because if Chris Middleton catches fire, like we see last night, when he catches fire, he's dangerous, man. He is dangerous, but then you got Drew Holiday as well. Like if he catches fire, you're kind of knackered. I'm not overly convinced that they will perform as a complete team. I don't know if they can with Giannis on the floor.
Well, we're yet to see it.
Yeah, we're yet to see it, and this is the stage where we should see it.
I think this is the thing, that Mike was alluding to earlier. With the Suns are that kind of stage where they're playing what's in front of them, and I don't want to say they're adjusting on the fly. They're just playing their game, and it's yet to be stopped. That's the thing. Whether they're winning by 2 or they're winning by 20, people are yet to stop the way they play. The game plan hasn't really switched. They're playing Phoenix Suns basketball.
The ball movement's been
ball movement's
impeccable.
spot on, and that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a case of this person needs to go off for them to get a win, or that role player needs to show up and have 25 points. Like, they're winning. Like, Chris Paul's had a couple of 40 pieces. Devin Booker's had a couple of 40 pieces. That's not why they've won. When that's happened, they've been dominating wins. But then when they play their game and everybody's evens across the board, they're still winning.
Yeah, I mean they've done it all the way through the season, and taken it into the playoffs as well. But I think both teams, every player on both of these teams knows their role, and I think that's a good thing leading into the finals. Is we're going to see two teams and potentially at full health going at each other.
That's what I was about to say. It's potentially the two healthiest teams.
We did say that as well, that the Phoenix haven't actually faced a healthy team yet, and Bucks have been facing and beating healthy teams. Annihilated Miami.
I mean, I don't know if you can call the Nets healthy.
Brooklyn, they've probably
They
done
missed both of their stars.
Well,
two of their stars.
Two of their starters, but do they need any more? Like, that's better than the average team. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you put Kyrie and KD,
At the end of the day,
it's more than PG, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so do you see what I mean? At least you're playing two all-stars. It's more than the average team. Plus their rotation
They're real
players.
superstars, not these sham superstars.
So the Bucks have been playing high, intense basketball against real competition. Not saying that obviously the Phoenix something with real competition, but they've been having to push themselves every single night, literally every single night against world star players. Phoenix have, in some aspects, had a bit of an easier run at it, but again, we've said it, they've taken advantage of what's in front of them.
Yeah, man.
I think the Phoenix will struggle with is the matchups going into the Bucks, because the Bucks probably match up better against the Suns than any other team so far.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it position for position, Drew versus CP, okay, Drew's going to be a lot more defensively focused. Okay,
and he's a good defender as well.
And playmaking. Chris is probably going to be matched up with Devin Booker. Again, two fantastic players. Booker's having a little bit of a breakout at the moment. Fantastic, but also we spoke about Chris going to get hot at any moment, so he's got to also then be, Devin Booker's got to think about defensive-minded activity. Giannis,
but it's the same with Chris Middleton as well.
Giannis match-up, PJ Tucker match-up, great defensive, and then you've got Lopez. I don't think the Phoenix Suns have played another team in so far in any of their series 1 through 5 as strong as that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference. They have to be switched on the whole game 1 through 5, not, oh, there's going to be one player that, you know, we don't have to worry about too much because we can double team PG or someone like that. They have to be focused the whole way through and take their defensive responsibilities seriously.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you know, even with PJ Tucker, you know, he's not particularly an offensive threat, but if he's open on the 3-point line, he will knock it down.
Oh, he loves that corner.
Yeah, exactly.
He loves that corner. Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. So, you know, as you just said, you've got to be on the ball. And there's not too many double opportunities that will present themselves against the Bucks where you can be. I mean, unless, you know, Chris Middleton starts the game with 12 or something ridiculous, and you can be like, all right, let's sag off him a bit. Phoenix Suns are going to have to play man up and, you know,
take advantage of what they got. In every single play matters in this series for the Suns. I think the Bucks have a little bit more wiggle room because the matchups are so heavily favoured. The one thing that will be a difference maker
is extra effort.
Yeah.
The extra effort plays, the offensive boards, the hustles, and trying to just make things awkward for the Bucks. Do you see what I mean? Just pressure them, don't make them get easy, don't let them run sets and stuff like that. Play them tight, make it difficult, and then if Giannis does drive, collapse on him and get kicking out, because they've been a bit streaky shooting at the moment, Milwaukee, and if they're starting to make it, fair play, but I'd rather them shoot threes at the moment than get into the post and sort of dominate there, because that will give them a lot more confidence. Do you see what I mean? Like, even when Giannis was out, those alley-oop plays between Holiday and Lopez were some of them were actually disgusting.
Spicy. He reached back to another continent.
Kobe, but that gave them momentum because they weren't shooting threes very well. And those plays, you know, really picked them up.
They matter, yeah. Because I think he had a beastly like tomahawk straight afterwards, pretty much. Yeah.
So Phoenix have to look at it and go, right, we're going to have to give up something. What's the worst? You know, what's our worst option basically? To the Bucks, do we basically collapse everything and get him to kick it out to PJ Tucker, knowing that he likes the shot, but knowing he's probably going to miss, you know, 3 and 4 of them. Yeah. So, you know, but when it does miss that, because they're undersized, they've got to get rebounds.
Absolutely.
Milwaukee are fantastic at grabbing the offensive rebound. Brook Lopez was a beast on it. Bobby Portis got some the other night.
Giannis is
big up Bobby Portis, man. What a pickup. I was saying to Mike earlier, what a pickup.
Yeah.
He was wasting away, and then he just gets picked up by the Bucks, and he shows up in the last few games.
Well, he's put the work in all year. Really.
He's put the work in.
He's done really well. I mean,
I've seen he's been doing extra effort with a guy on Instagram, Lethal Shooter. Like, he's shooting form and stuff like that. He's been training with him, and you can see he's been working on his shot because he's a lot more set, and it's paying off. Okay, the last game he wasn't shooting too well. It needs to go back into the gym for that one. But the game prior, really, really strong. You know, really, he put up some really important points in that game. Really important buckets.
We'll shout out Lethal Shooter on Instagram as well, because he comments at everybody, so you know, he might drop a comment on the old Flagrant 3 page. What's that, Lethal Shooter? Gas.
Right, so that's the Eastern Conference done. Yeah, we'll move on. And now on to everyone's favourite section. Dunked or denied, boys? Let's go. Don't hurt yourself now. First question. Atlanta Hawks had a beastly run this year. Collins, a big part of that. If you're Atlanta's GM, do you give this man his max? Because that's what he's after.
Nope.
Denied already? Denied already?
Deny.
Okay.
I don't think John Collins right now is a max caliber. I think people need to be careful throwing around max contracts because, again, what we identified earlier is that they're very strong in depth, and they've got people like, Bogdanovic, who was throwing up 38s and really good numbers when it mattered most. They've got people like on their team. So I think Atlanta need to look at what their franchise future is and say, do we want to keep pieces we have now and still build, or do we just throw max contracts out and ruin our salary cap, ruin our chances? Because you throw a max contract out to Collins, you've already got to give one to Trey.
You have to give one to Trey.
And obviously things like, where's that leave everyone else? Bogdanovic already left the Kings because obviously he wasn't valued, so he wanted to get money, so he's obviously left. Clint Capella's contract year is going to come up soon as well. All these players and all these pieces that just got you to an Eastern Conference Finals, are you going to risk losing that for John Collins? I personally think John Collins is a great player, but I don't think he is a max. Look at other max contract players right now. Is he a max contract player along that caliber, or we're just throwing contracts out? I don't know.
Yeah, and it seems to be a bit of a thing that happens. Like, guys have a one or two kind of breakout years, like they are above average years for them, and they seem to think that they're worth this max.
For me, a max contract has to be a leader on a team. John Collins is not a leader on a team.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I know, but you can have more than one max player, can't you? I think obviously Trey Young's your super max guy, but with Clint Capella's contract coming up, I'd take John Collins over Clint Capella.
Oh yeah. I would, but
would I
do
give
you
him a
not?
max deal? I mean, after the run they've just had, if I'm John Collins, I'm saying, right, just pay me a 1-year deal and let's run this shit back. This is what I don't understand about players that go money hunting and then wonder why they never win a ring.
Yeah,
the Dwight Howard in 2009. After they made it to the finals, and then he's on a supermax deal. Orlando can't get nobody else in. You can't get him no help. And it happens all the time. And these players they finish their career no ring, and it's like, well, this, that, and the other. It's like KD going to the Warriors. Obviously, he won rings there, but they was on the verge at OKC. Just sign a 1 year, run it back, man. He was there. Just run it back.
And if it didn't work at that point,
well, I think that's right. I think Brett's right. I think see if it was a fluke. Take a 1 year deal. It's not always got to be everyday max contract. It's go and see it was a fluke. Now, what does mean more to you? Does it mean rings or money? Rings or money?
And this is the big.
That's what it comes down to. Players are after the bag now.
You get paid enough to take both. What are you trying to afford out there? Like, who are you trying to beat? You're not going to be the next Elon Musk anyway, so just turn around and say, right.
It's not like in the off season you got to go stack shelves because you ain't making enough money.
Exactly. You ain't got to pick up extra jobs, like doing delivery things and stuff like that. But
that's what Ben Simmons is doing.
I can't deliver you a championship. He says, I can't deliver you a championship, but I can deliver you dinner. Like, do you see what I mean?
Man.
You need to look at it and go, can I get a multi-million-pound contract, which is strong enough, and a chip? That's what means the most.
That is what should matter the most.
Or do I want to pick up a max contract, go play somewhere like the Sacramento Kings, so I'm not going to achieve that much, and
and spend the rest of your life losing.
Exactly, and then wonder, what if?
There's exactly that. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go. Do I think Atlanta give him a max? I'm going dunked. Should they? No.
Fair play. I mean,
he's a restricted free agent, so they've got the offer there. So whatever anybody else is offered, they can offer him more.
I think the two guys you look after first is Nate and Trey in that team.
Yeah, I think
Nate and Trey.
Earlier, I don't know. Obviously, how things stand now. I've not read up about it, but I don't think Nate wanted to stay past this year. Obviously, he was the interim, wasn't he? So he was, since he took over, they've done absolutely phenomenal. So
but
they should.
Nate will be offered. I can guarantee you that Atlanta will offer him the head coaching role.
Fucking hell.
There's a lot of coaching roles out there at the moment, so
Yeah,
he's
I was
going to
li-
be offered a lot more.
I was listening to another podcast, and
Sorry, what?
Don't plug them.
Yeah.
Don't plug
I'm
them.
not going to. I won't mention any names because it was trash. But I enjoyed this one part. They was talking about, obviously, you know, it was an American one, and they're connected. And they somebody knew John Collins, and they was saying that up until they beat the Knicks, he's stopping this petrol station on the way to the arena every so often to fill up, and he'd go in, play, never say nothing. You know, hi, how are you? Never ask about the games. And the second they beat the Knicks, everybody's interested in what he's doing and how he's playing, and you know, go Hawks and blah blah blah. And it just goes to show you, man, like they need that. So I personally think they run it back. You know, like you say, Trae Young's the star. He's been looked after, and he will get looked after in the future. But run it back, and that goes for everyone. I think when you're on the verge like that, unless they're thinking to themselves, the stars are never going to align the way they just have. But they took out the number 1 seed. They took out the Knicks, who were probably the most hyped team running into the playoffs. Well, they had the most steam behind them running into the playoffs.
Yeah, because it's the Knicks. They always do, don't they?
Yeah,
The Knicks
you
show.
know, and
The Knicks show up for a game, and New York goes.
But they should. But
absolutely
Trae shut down the
mental.
Garden, you know, which is big in itself. Yeah. No, I think run it back. Run it back.
Staying with the theme of running it back, this brings me to my next dunked or denied. Clippers. They running it back, or they shipping some guys off?
Nope, they are not running it back. Kawhi Leonard either doesn't want none of the team, as in he will want the whole team gone if he's to stay, or he will be gone. That's my.
Do you think he regrets not choosing Lakers?
Yeah, I do. No, yeah, I
Do you think Paul George regrets it as well?
Well,
Paul George not so much. I think it's done a lot for
Paul
Paul
George was dragged into the
Yeah.
Clippers. The rumour was Kawhi requested he played with Paul George, and they made that happen. They got him from OKC, and then Kawhi signed on the dotted line. Does he regret not going to the Lakers? Absolutely, because
He'd have
he'd
another
have
ring.
another ring. He'd have another 2 rings because they'd have won it last year, which they did. And
LeBron's not letting him sit in the stands, I tell you.
No, LeBron wouldn't let him sit in the stands.
But that's the
at
thing. I
same
think that's
time-
mainly why he didn't go there.
Exactly, because he wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to be that guy, no matter whether LeBron's 36 or 46. LeBron's always going to be that guy.
Dude could show up to a game in a Zimmer frame, and
Yeah,
he's still,
and he's
that,
still that
guy,
guy.
you know.
Man,
But
just talked to Kyrie Irving. He played with him for a couple of years, and he's given a mental breakdown, isn't he? He's not been the same since. So, yeah.
Yeah, no,
man looks like he's going on an adventure
up,
every
he goes-
time he leaves his
That's
house.
what I mean. He turns out, he goes, Kyrie, you're going to be the guy. He goes, oh, all right, LeBron. No.
No,
No. he's
you're not
he's-
going to be that guy.
he's
goes
not
to
been the guy
Boston,
anywhere.
sits in a press conference crying because he can't handle it.
Exactly. Bless him.
Yeah, no, I don't think the Clippers are running it
Nah?
back.
I don't. I think there's going to be a massive change up there, and I think it's either going to be Kawhi going, or as Brett says, there's going to be a massive change up. And I think also part of it is that there's such a clash of personalities.
Yeah.
You look at when it's at the Raptors, okay, where they've done so well, and you had Lowry and Siakam, all really quite subtle guys that get about
Yeah.
their business, and Kawhi liked that. He did really well.
Yeah.
And they
this is-
playing with Morris and Beverly, who are just
Dogs.
you know,
loud
dogs,
mouths.
pushing
Yeah, man.
people in
And
the back.
this is what I want, and obviously DeMarcus Cousins now, and this is what I wanted to point out earlier. His want to play when he was with the Raptors, and he thought, you know, I'm here this one. Like you say, they're more at the Raptors. They're more subdued. Siakam, Norman Powell, Kyle Lowry, all them guys. They're more subdued. But it's a different ball game when you talk about these Clippers. And I don't think he wanted no part of that, and I don't think he has done since the bubble last year. You know, to be perfectly honest. So he's either out or the whole team's gone.
They just built the wrong team around him.
Everybody saw that meme of Steve Ballmer slapping the people's legs next to him. He's hunting for money, man. He knows he's got to pay big to get guys in. He's like, yo, where's your wallets at, bro? Let me slap his legs and find it.
Do you, if you're the Clippers GM, are you moving Kawhi? Or are you moving Paul George?
If you're the Clippers front office, you are trying whatever it takes to keep Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Oh,
even
to
though
keep Kawhi Leonard.
even though Paul George just went out,
Which
there
shouldn't
and-
be that hard because Kawhi Leonard is an LA guy. So he should, he's for the last 5 years, since the whole blow up in San Antonio, all he's wanted to do is play in LA.
If you're LA, what about a guy like Lillard who wants to leave, who wants to get out of Portland? Do you trade Paul George for Lillard? Obviously, you'd have to pack that
You try
out.
and not trade Paul George for Lillard. You try and get rid of everything else, but you're gonna have to sell the whole ship.
You are to move.
I just want to stop it there, Mike. You seem very, very surprised that I said Kawhi Leonard to stay, or to keep Kawhi Leonard.
I'm surprised you say like the LA will turn around and say they want to keep him, because I'm sitting there thinking, well, you just cost me a ring. You just cost me a championship. You've just cost me quite a lot, disrupted a lot in the locker room. If I'm that, I don't want to repeat if we get it wrong again. Do you see what I mean? I'd rather ship it out and bring better people in I can trust than Kawhi, who is a fantastic player, when he wants to play or when he's fit enough to play. There's so many ifs and buts around Kawhi. Now, as a GM and as an owner of a team, if you run a business today, right, and you're in your office and someone walks into your office and doesn't do anything because they don't want to, because he doesn't like the person sitting next to him, you're going, well, I'm not firing that guy, I'm firing you. You're out my office, mate. You're costing me revenue. You're costing me, a lot of stuff. It's the same thing. We say all the time, basketball is a business. And if you put your business mind on, Kawhi, there's other superstars out there that can bring you the jersey sales and the revenue and stuff like that. I would not turn around and say, I'm going to put all my trust in Kawhi and now taking me to a championship next year.
The thing is, with Kawhi, you're paying a lot of money for a part-time worker.
But you also...
but as I said, he's top 5 in the game. He's top 5 in the world, like, when he's on the floor. And yes, the best ability is availability, but when he's on the floor, and if it now obviously they're not playing, if it comes out in the summer that it's a serious knee injury, this is a completely different conversation.
Yeah, but
if it's not a serious knee injury and it never comes out that there was really that much wrong with him, a hyperextension like Giannis or whatever, then agreed with you. As a front office, you're going to be pissed about it. Are you going to get rid of him? I don't see it.
It's hard to say that if you don't get it right next season, though. Does he do it again? And does he sit out again because it's not right? Has he now shown that he can sit out of a...
This is his
last year.
It's his option year. Yeah. So does he now feel like he has the power to dictate the locker room and say, well, if I'm not liking the way things are going, I'm going to sit out longer than I have to?
But he's been mollycoddled that way since his last 2 years in San Antonio.
Yeah,
he's been treated as if that's what it's. If you bring up a child and you treat him, this is the way to live your life.
You saw him hobbling at the Raptors. You saw him putting blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying though.
And at the Clippers, he's not even sitting with the bench. He's not even sitting down there. He's sitting further away than the owner.
With the Raptors, obviously he knew next year he's got the world at his feet, providing he puts on a show.
Yeah.
Not only did he put on a show, he fucking won the show. So he's got the world bowed down at his feet.
And he beat the Goliath of teams as well.
Obviously, the year prior, he played 17 games for San Antonio? He didn't, maybe not even that many. So now, maybe he doesn't feel he needs to prove anything, and the world will still come running.
Does it make it harder to attract people on the devil's advocate side? So obviously, if you're a superstar out there right now and you want to join a championship winning team, and you've seen all these teams like the Bucks doing really well and Phoenix having real good seasons, do you turn around and say, right, I'm going to go put all my chips on Kawhi Leonard, who could or could not back it?
Quit on you.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Do you sit there and go, as a superstar,
yeah,
that's
I don't think it looks well. I don't think
it does. It's not attractive.
Obviously, LA is a big market, but the Lakers.
It's the Lakers market.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at it from both sides.
And
of
the
coin,
thing is, just up the road, you got fucking Oakland, man.
Yeah,
just up the road. If you want to be in LA, you got
a lot of tradable assets.
Exactly.
Clay's coming back next year. It's a long ass dunk to denied.
Yeah. Right. So Clippers denied. Fuck them off. Peace out, Kawhi. You joke. Right. Last one. Let's make it a snapshot. Bucks, are they making it this far without Giannis?
What do you mean?
Yeah, reword
it. They made it this far about Giannis. Giannis wasn't there last 2 games. They're there.
Giannis isn't in from the first round of the playoffs.
Nah.
How far are the Bucks going?
That's a stupid question. No, not at all. No.
Nah, they're I mean, they make it out of the first round. They wipe the floor with Miami.
Based off of what? But Chris Middleton being your star player?
Yeah, they're not even beating the Nets.
No,
probably not won games.
You can't underestimate how much Giannis does. Like if you watched the games the last 2 games where Giannis wasn't there, and you saw how much effort the Bucks had to put in to even come to where they were. You'll look at it and go, Giannis is a massive factor, which we know he's a multi-time MVP. You know, he's gonna...
yeah. Like I called him out as a fraud, obviously a couple of episodes ago, but he's you know, there's still levels to this shit, and he's still at that level. He's just not. I don't believe he's that guy. He's not that guy. He's not got that killer instinct. He won't.
Do you want the ball in his hand during clutch?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
No, he
Let
doesn't.
alone me, he doesn't want the ball in his hand during clutch moments. He's not that guy. He's still top 10, but he's not that guy.
Yeah, if I'm down by 2,
yeah, you don't.
I don't. In the fourth quarter and a couple of seconds left on the clock.
But that's your superstar.
Yeah, but he's not probably my best option.
Let's put it like this, right? If you're Steve Nash, you're down 2, clock's running down. You got 10 seconds on the clock. You're loving life. You know the ball is getting in the hoop. If you're Bud and you're down 2, you're shitting your pants. Because you got fucking no idea what is going to happen. Because let's be real, if he gets fouled, they're fucking bollocks. Isn't they?
Oh, yeah.
And he ain't making a shot. His only option is to drive to the hoop and pray that he gets fouled, and pray that 1, he doesn't get called for a 10-second violation, 2, he actually makes a free throw. You know, Chris Middleton's hit and miss, and that's it. You don't want the ball going to Drew Holiday, realistically. The only other option I'd go for on the Bucks is Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
And can you say he's that guy? Should he be that guy? No, he shouldn't have to be.
He tried to be that guy, didn't he? Win the games and missed it.
Yeah, you got a 2-time MVP. Nobody else should be wanting to be that guy. Denied.
Denied. Well, that's it for Dunkel Denied, boys.
Right, so
we out this bitch.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do a prediction, did we, on the finals?
No. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first, let's talk about
the big
special
section.
section.
You know, the cover athlete right now. Cover athlete for episode 6.
Mr. State Farm. We're talking about CP3. He's on his way to his first NBA finals after all the negative talk around CP3 throughout his playoff career. Congrats. He's finally done it.
It's a bit of a due, isn't it? The funny thing is, right, if you look at all the teams he's played in, this is probably the most unlikely one he'll get here with. Like, do you see what I mean? He went to Houston, played with Harden, and didn't quite make it.
Clippers team,
yeah. All right, he wasn't really going to get too far with OKC. Fair play. New Orleans back in the day, he probably had a good shot.
They had good runs.
Yeah, really good runs at it. So I think if you looked at it and you go, Phoenix is probably the second least likely team. The Clippers, he didn't get with the Clippers when you had Blake and DeAndre and Redick and stuff like this. So I think fair play, and they've got a real good team spirit in Phoenix right now. And I think that's contributed a massive amount to it.
I think if anything, winning it with this team, getting this far with this team, probably means more to him than the Clippers stint, because he's coming out of his prime, and he's showing everyone that he is still the difference maker in a series. He is still one of your top guys. He's a point guard for a reason.
Yeah, and this is when people talk to me about guards, about point guards, and about Steph this and Damian Lillard that. No, this is a point guard.
This is a point guard.
He controls the floor. He controls the tempo on both ends as well. He is what it means to be a point guard.
He's done amazingly for Devin Booker. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, and even DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton come out and said this is the best he's ever played the game because of Chris Paul.
Yeah, and he's an absolute genius on the court. He's a dog. He can change the emotions of a game quite quickly as well for the opponents and his own teammates as well. He's very much a guy that will get his team going at any means necessary, whether that's poking fun at a referee, whether that's squaring up to a guy who's spat in your face or whatever, taking a little throwback to the Rondo salt. Yeah. But Chris Paul is
when he got traded to OKC, I thought that would be it for him. I thought he'd just finish his career there. Obviously, I thought it would be quite poetic justice, if you will, because when Hurricane Katrina hit in New Orleans, obviously they shut down, they moved to OKC, and I thought, that ties in, nicely. Call it a day there. Your career's lapped. All right, you ain't got nowhere. But obviously now he's moved on to the Suns and this has happened. You can be nothing but happy for him. And I've never particularly liked him. I've always appreciated his game. His game's always been top tier point guard, pick and roll master.
Just all round knowledge of the game is he's just watching him play and just watching him interact with his teammates. You can tell, he's insanely switched on, and he knows everything that he needs to know.
It's one of the highest IQs in the game.
Yeah,
by far. Yeah, by far, because he leaves an imprint in every single team he goes to, and that's the biggest thing.
That is the thing.
This is
every team.
The Chris Paul effect.
Yeah,
I mean, he took OKC. He took OKC.
Yeah. On the year, everyone thought he was burning out.
Well, look at Gilgeous Alexander, his name is. He played amazingly next to Paul because he had that guidance, and then he goes into Houston. He wasn't that great, but he still got pieces around him performing better than what he was before he was there.
Yeah.
And now look at him in Phoenix.
That was just a clash of heads with James Harden.
And that was just a clash of heads, a bit of ego. Yeah.
And now,
that trade was just never going to work, though, was it? At Houston, you got 2 ball handlers.
Yeah. And that was the year that James Harden really wanted to be the point guard.
Yeah.
So it was never going to work. But yeah, and as you just said, now you're in Phoenix with a bunch of young guys, and you've shown them. You spent the whole year showing them the ropes, and now look at them. They're in the finals, man. First playoff appearance for 85% of that team, and they're in the finals now with I don't want to say a good chance, but I think they're going in as the favourites.
Do you think age will be a factor? Do you think they're too young to handle the pressure of a finals across the board?
I think getting this far has slapped that question out of the picture.
I think
the finals are a different kettle of fish. I think the playoffs. Yeah,
but what you've also got to look at is both teams have zero experience in NBA finals.
Going against an experienced
apart from Jay
team.
Crowder,
but they got more NBA experience altogether.
NBA experience, yes, but playoff experience still sways roughly in Bucks' favour because of the decade-long drought. But finals, we all know finals are different to everything else.
Yeah.
All I want to see is Phoenix fans just in a sea of purple or orange. I'm sick of looking at the crowd and seeing like multiple fucking colours.
This is the finals. You buy those tickets.
Even as far as a few years ago, the Warriors, it'd just be a sea of fucking yellow out there. That's what's intimidating. That's what you want at your home crowd. Obviously, maybe COVID restrictions don't allow them to give the t-shirts away anymore, but even still, like, that's the atmosphere that you want to be coming into the finals. Your very first finals, in however long you said, you want absolutely everything you can get. And for Chris Paul as well, I mean, obviously he's come out and said he wants a multi-year 100 mil plus deal now, but if you win a ring this year, do you consider calling it a day on that? Say you win finals MVP as well, and it's like, right, I've fucking done this, I've done that, you all said I'd never get it, I'm done.
I don't know, because after winning the Western Conference Finals, you saw how much it meant to him. But so that would kind of bode in the favour. It's never going to get that good again.
This is exactly what
Chris
I'm saying.
Paul, and we never know.
Especially wanting the multi-year 100 mil plus, they've got DeAndre Ayton coming up. You're going to have to put the Suns in a position where
you got to think of the long term rather than the instant success that you have had.
Do you go get your 100 mil plus for 2 or 3 years, and then sit on the bench?
We've turned around and said earlier in this episode, the Suns probably ain't making it to the finals if the West is healthy.
No.
So do you pay? Say they win.
I know. I'm CP3, and CP3 is a very intelligent guy. I ride the high. So your adrenaline, if and it's a big if, they do go and win the championship, your adrenaline is so high from having probably the best season of your whole career. You don't then just turn around and say, right, I'm done. You want to go back again, and not necessarily go back into it, but you fall so much in love with basketball again because you've reached the pinnacle that you're going to want to give it a few more years. And I think he's going to turn around and say, well, I can earn, my stock value is through the bloody roof. I can go and get a contract that's going to be worth my time to still enjoy the game that I love. And yes, if I have to sit on the bench a few more times, so be it. But he's going to be riding a high.
I mean,
Yeah, I
Do
get
you
you.
know
Do
what I
you not think? Do you not think Jordan felt that in '98?
I think it's a bit different.
It's a very different circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, he's not. There's a good chance he's not running it back with the Phoenix Suns. So he's then got to go and find a contender to give him what he wants, which isn't likely because none of them will be able to afford multi-year 100 mils. You know, and Jordan didn't want to run it back unless Phil Jackson was with him. But obviously, eventually he come back, but they won the championship. He could have stayed with the Bulls under a different coach, but he chose to leave on a high. You know, if I'm Chris Paul, he's 35 years old, 36. 36. You know, he's probably only got a couple years in him, if that.
Yeah, and this is what we touched on.
He wants to secure the bag, but you know, and secure his pension, if you will. But he's not going to be out of a job, is he? I mean, he'd easily get a coaching job. He'd easily get an analyst job. You know, sitting up there with Chuck and Shaq, you know, talking shit. He's not going to be out of work, is he?
No,
he's a supreme
absolutely not.
NBA player who will be in the Hall of Fame.
But I mean, if I'm a NBA GM, the first thing you go to is his stats, for his career, there's not been much of a decline.
Well, if you're an NBA,
Well, no, because he's a true point guard.
Yeah.
if you're an NBA GM, you look at you go, the guy's just taken a underdog to an NBA Finals. I want that in my team just to get the knowledge, and I'll pay whatever I have to pay for 2 years to get
Well,
that.
this is what Aaron alluded to a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
And I get that.
That's what you
know,
do.
pick up the young guys like
And I don't-
Memphis, for example, with a Ja Morant. But
Yeah, I don't see Chris Paul turn around saying, "No, you're right. You keep your 100 million just to do part-time work, basically."
then it's a similar thing with Iverson, isn't it? You know, if you want to, you know, die off somewhere down the line, and maybe have this just considered the one lucky star alignment that got you your championship.
I think with Iverson, he kind of did it to himself because he didn't accept his role that
Alright,
he
then,
was
so
aging and
scratch
falling
Iverson,
back.
then go to Shaq. You know, he started moving around everywhere to ring chase towards the end of his career.
Oh,
Obviously, he's still
from
considered
D-Wade to LeBron.
Yeah, he's still considered
to the big three.
one of the best, if not the best, big of all time. But nobody wants to think about Shaq's later years. Nobody wants to think of it. You know, Cleveland, Boston, Phoenix, you know, God knows where else. Nobody wants to think of that shit. And this is what happened with Chris Paul in the last couple of years. You know, does he want another team or win the championship? If he gets Finals MVP as well, call it a day. But me personally, that's what I'd go for.
So I'm going to flip it on you and put another perspective. LeBron James is also 36 years old. Okay, LeBron James on the last 2 years has probably been in what people could consider a decline with regards to injuries, not getting out the first round of the playoffs this year. Would he have called it after his championship with the Lakers? She'd just gone, right, I've done it to the Lakers. I'm
Thing
looking
is,
to me.
No,
LeBron's-
because they come into the next year still favourites to win it this year.
And LeBron doesn't have the luxury of doing that because LeBron's been pinned up against MJ and Kobe his entire career. If he just walks away with that championship, he scraps
People
himself
that pin
from
him
all
up
that.
against LeBron and Kobe and MJ just don't know basketball. You just not. You can't compare people from different eras.
No,
what I
and
mean?
Different positions.
And different positions, and there's so
Fucking
many
hell, Michael
different-
Jordan said that.
There's so
I
many
mean, the
differentials.
GOAT said it.
I think if LeBron wanted to right now, he could have turned around after winning the chip with the Lakers and saying, right, that's it, I'm going to have my shoes up, and no one would bat. You know, no one would blame him for it. Because at the moment, all he's doing is picking up niggling injuries. He's not getting out of first rounds, you know. And I know you're saying you won a championship, your favourites to go again. But that happens with every team, right? You know, you win a championship, you're automatically near favourites to go again because you've done it.
Unless you're Toronto.
But Toronto were up there
this is what I'm
until
saying,
they got rid
don't-
of Kawhi. Like, do you know, they were still there until that trade happened.
But this is what I'm saying. Don't come into this thinking that if Phoenix win the championship, they're coming out of favourites next year. They ain't.
No,
No,
but
they're not.
they'll have much better odds than they did this
They'll
year.
have better odds, but I still think they're going to be bottom end of the, you know, maybe 5. depending on obviously what happens with the Clippers. Say nothing happens with the Clippers, they'll be above them. The Nets will obviously be above them. The Bucks will be above them. The Lakers will be above them again. You know, and obviously if Dame lands somewhere, let's just say for shits, I'm not. You know, say he lands at the Mavs, they'll be above them.
Well, you still got to look at it as well and say, does that mean Chris Paul doesn't get his farewell tour like every other player has? Dwayne Wade has his farewell tour. Do you see what I mean? He deserves to, and I think he will still continue to play because he loves.
That's a want more than a need.
He loves the game. It's more money. It's easy money for him at the moment. It's a wind down of the game he loves. You don't just go, "Oh, I want a championship. I'm going to bed." You wind it down. You get what you want. You get people to appreciate your game, which he will get at some stage. He'll get a farewell tour.
If people don't appreciate Chris Paul, by this point, they're not going to.
Oh, mate,
you don't like basketball. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly,
oh, mate, you got what? Top 10 assists of all time.
I absolutely 100% understand. Go get the bag. I'm not saying not. I'm saying if I'm in his position, I feel like
you've done everything you needed to do.
Yeah, you've been on teams where you was not guaranteed, but it's like, right, you're in the runnings and never got close, and now you've gone to a team that last year weren't shit, the year before that weren't shit, and you've now taken them to the finals. Me, I'm going out on that hot. If it's a dub. If I'm winning,
I think
I'm going out.
If I'm CP3, after all the talks that the team have said about his game and this, that, and the other, I'll give him at least another year. I'll run it back for at least one more year with the Suns because you've seen what it means to Ayton and Devin Booker and that they could still.
That's what I'm getting at. What if they can't run it back because they've got to give Ayton a max contract?
That's what I'm saying. If I'm Chris Paul, I'll go for a 1 year deal. A 1 year deal. Yeah, 1 year deal, not. Veterans.
He's not though, is he?
Because he won't get enough.
Veterans minimum.
Veterans.
Man wants multi-year, 100 mil.
He wants a multi-year because he knows if he takes a 1 year, he's not going to get another
he
strong
wants guaranteed
1 year.
money, exactly.
Yeah,
if he takes a 1 year deal and he's on a decline or he gets hurt, he's never getting that money, is he?
No.
So no, I get what you're saying, Mike. And obviously, if he was to win Finals MVP, he's going to get offered that bag.
How can you not?
Yeah, exactly that. But me personally, no. I'm calling it a day. What did we think? While we're talking about Chris Paul, do we think the whole veto trade that was meant to happen to the Lakers? Just a quick, maybe a little dunk to the side. Would that Kobe, Chris Paul, Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom kind of?
So what year was that? Was that after the year after they beat Orlando in the finals? Was it after that? Yeah. Oh mate, they run it. They walked to the finals again. And they whooped the Celtics. I mean, what a fucking team. I mean, Kobe is like the god version of Devin Booker. If you look at it, the games are very similar. Devin Booker obviously models it after Kobe, but Kobe was just Kobe, and if CP3's taken Devin Booker to the finals, CP3, Pau Gasol,
can we just
Kobe
say
Bryant.
CP3 would not be taking Kobe Bryant to the finals? It'll be the
Kobe Bryant will be
the other way round. Devin Booker's not taking CP3, but Kobe is not getting taken by
obviously
CP3.
Poor wording, but
poor wording. But yeah, I see what you mean. If you put CP3 in that team, they go to the finals, they win a chip. It's done deal, easy.
Do you think so? What, even though Kobe isn't an off-ball player?
He developed his game to. When he started getting less athletic and less sort of like aggressive, he had to develop a different game. And his shot became a lot more. He did go off the screens a lot more. Do you see what I mean? So
and they run the triangle.
But you're talking. Yeah. But we're talking.
I think Kobe scores more with CP3 there because he's gonna get the ball. All Kobe's got to do is get open, get
I disagree, man. I think CP3 is better suited with Pau than Kobe. I'm not by any means saying that CP3 hinders the team. Absolutely not. I'm saying Kobe doesn't necessarily get on that well with it. I mean, everybody thought they'd dominate with Dwight and Steve Nash, and look what happened. It's all well and good putting these, hypothetically putting these players together, but they don't get on.
Yeah.
Dwight had come off a backup, but he was a fucking animal.
I think just the overall basketball IQ that team would have had would have been.
They would have made it work.
It would have worked in some way, shape, or form because they all knew how to play. And they all knew how to win, and to work as a team as well. Like that Lakers squad was heavy. What was it like? Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom,
Derek Fisher,
Andrew Bynum,
Steve Blake.
Andrew Bynum, remember him? Use that name here, Andrew Bynum.
Andrew
Talk
Bynum,
about chasing the
youngest
bag.
NBA player ever. Yeah?
I don't like playing basketball, but I'm good at basketball. Shut up.
Fucking hell.
Right, that's gonna do us for CP3 section. Mad respect.
Yeah, we got finals predictions. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Suns Bucks. Feeling too good. What you saying?
I am going Suns in 6. Suns
Nice.
in 6. I'm
MVP?
going to Jake.
Got a pick?
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder.
Bruv, in 2015, if you'd have asked me that question, and I would have said Andre Iguodala, you'd have had the same reaction.
I want Iguodala.
Yeah, I want Crowder. Nah,
No, you've said it now. That's
yeah,
it.
but
That's
mate, I'll
fucking
fucks with it, man.
I'll respect Jay Crowder's game. Absolutely.
He's Jay Crowder.
But he's not going to win Finals MVP.
I mean, he shut
Speechless.
LeBron down. Who's to say he can't? Well,
Speechless.
Jay Crowder, come at me.
Big boy, what are you saying?
Bucks in 6. Giannis MVP naturally.
Because this is the only option.
Not just getting an option. I think he's gonna. I think he will take opportunity of this platform he's been put on. I think he's been literally begging for this platform for the last few years. He's got back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah, why has he not got it then?
Well, he's got here now. He's got here now, hasn't he?
Nah, he hasn't. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday did. Brooke Lopez.
Well,
Shaq
he's been
Lopez.
getting a foot massage on the
Shaq
side.
Lopez got him here. Nah, carry on.
No, he's here now. I think he's going to take the platform. He's going to take MVP. Bucks in 6.
Is he going to dominate?
I think he'll dominate more than people are probably preempting coming off an injury. I think he will do what more people. He's not going to be. I think there's two ways of looking at this. If he tries to shoot 3-pointers because his knee's not feeling 100% and he tries to compensate for an injury, I think you have to sit on the bench and just let your team deal with it because you've shown you can trust your team over the last 2 games in Atlanta. If he's healthy and he's driving and he's doing what he's best at, I think then yes, he does dominate. I think that here's the best case scenario. They've got one big in Phoenix in DeAndre Ayton. If DeAndre Ayton gets into any kind of foul trouble, they're in trouble. It's game over for that game because it's just going to be full court. It's going to be.
It's annihilation, isn't it?
It's
not
annihilation.
only, as we all alluded to earlier, you got Brooke Lopez, and if there's no big, if there's no big that can handle Giannis, there's no big that can handle Brooke.
If I am Bucks, I'm not settling for threes in this first game. I'm driving and getting that guy into foul trouble. I don't care who I am. If I'm Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday was playing really aggressive last night. I love to see it. I'm doing that against DeAndre Ayton. I'm going to see him if I can get him into foul trouble. And if Giannis can get him into foul trouble, and then, okay, he goes to the line, he probably shoots 8 free throws, misses all of them. But then if DeAndre Ayton has to sit on the bench for the next 12 minutes, he ain't shooting any more free throws. He's annihilating. If he's shooting free throws, he's shooting off and 1. He's getting 2 guaranteed points on that board like that, and that's game over.
Fair point. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Suns in 5.
Suns in 5. You're
Suns
fucking wassy,
in
man, bro.
5. No one's expecting it, but that's what's going to happen.
MVP?
Devin Booker. Easy.
You went for the easy choice.
Mate, give me Devin Booker.
I took it a little bit sideways.
You took it.
You
took it to the dumping ground of MVPs.
Ground, man. I didn't pick campaign, bro. Come on, man. Actually, DeAndre Ayton probably would have been a better shout, but yeah, no.
Right,
I
after that, the poor MVP choice there.
What?
We're gonna briefly
you
talk.
said Suns in 5.
Suns in 5.
Yeah, you said Suns in 5.
Suns in 5.
Bullshit.
Educate guess.
Might as well have just picked a sweep, guys.
No, I wouldn't do Giannis like
Should we
that.
put Nando's on this, by the way? Because you two have gone Suns and I've gone Bucks. So I don't put double or nothing.
Mate, I'm waiting on my last Nando's.
What do
bro.
you mean? You double or nothing it and lost.
Yeah, but you put
Run
it on a
it back.
guaranteed.
You know what I'm saying?
What? I guarantee what?
Man, run it back to episode 4. You watched the Double or Nothing call. Ah, shit, indeed, sir.
Double or nothing on what?
Right, before we scoot, the Flagrant 3 have another competition, boys.
We win.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
It's the finals. Let's go. We're putting it all on the line.
So to enter, go onto the post on the Flagrant 3 Instagram. You have to comment, tag 2 guys, finals MVP, and the total points this MVP scores in the finals. Really simple.
You already in?
I'm already in, my brother.
Who are you going for?
Exactly what I just said.
What's the point?
Shit, I didn't.
Points.
Jay
And
Crowder.
that's the competition. And then
I'm
goes,
delete my comment.
Jay Crowder, total points 16. Yeah, across 6.
Man.
I've gone Devin Booker 165 points.
165. Yeah, what's that? Across 5
33
games.
points.
33
again.
a game. Yeah. All right. Smart move.
I've gone Giannis 198. Also 33 points a game, I don't know.
That's 6 though, isn't it? You went
In
6.
6. Yeah, as well
I
as
went
6.
I went Suns in 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
see,
gonna happen,
on the comments, I went.
Look, the comments doesn't have my games. They only have my numbers. So if he has an off game
What is
and a blow up game, I might come out
curiosity,
sweet.
just to see if you've done your research. How many points has Devin Booker averaged recently?
None of your damn business, bitch.
I'm just asking the question because I know Giannis has averaged around about the 33 to 38 points per game throughout the playoffs and his regular season. How many points has Devin Booker averaged?
Just pulling up Google real quick.
Oh, you didn't do your research, I see.
All right, so
Brett,
get
do you wanna do the
onto the Instagram page and enter the contest. That'll do us for the day. It's been a Flagrant 3 podcast.
25 points.
That's man.
4
Guys asking for 9 more points a game. Oh my god, he's 5. Get me out.
Suns in
Brett,
5.
Brett, close this off, please. This is done.
We out, peace.